At the Tottenham training ground recently, first-team players were having lunch or enjoying massages as the clock ticked past 1 o'clock. Just one player remained out on the training ground, diligently practicing long-range shots, specifically right-footed curling strikes into the top corner. A few days later, at Wembley, with Tottenham 1-0 down to West Ham, Son Heung-min would repeat the trick he had been honing at lunchtime by striking one of the goals of the season to pull his side level. Of course, his application and dedication had never really been in doubt. But it's not so long ago that there were some doubts as to whether he would become a first-team regular. That superb strike was perhaps the surest sign yet of his growing confidence and right to be considered one of the stars not just of Tottenham but the Premier League. Son Heung-min has forced his way into Tottenham's first 11 where he is currently a star player. Son worked on his long-range shooting and training shortly before his stunner against West Ham. As his manager, Mauricio Pochettino pointed out, when you play alongside Harry Kane it's hard to grab the spotlight. But the 10 goals in 19 games are reminiscent of the 10 in 12 games he scored at the end of last season and hard to avoid. If this is a purple patch, it's been ongoing for the best part of a year, since March in fact. Son was in and out of the team prior to an FA Cup tie against Millwall, a useful player but perhaps not one of the A-list. But he was selected against Millwall and was scintillating, scoring a hat-trick. Intriguingly, in his book Brave New World, Pochettino speaks about a player in similar circumstances. He declined to name who it was but wrote, around that time, March, I had a very tricky conversation with one of the key men, whose name I'll keep to myself. It was our second in the space of 2 years. I got Jesus, Perez, Pochettino's assistant, to prepare the ground and they spent almost an hour talking. I swooped in to add the finishing touches. Although Jesus kept chiming in with phrases like, you do this in training, this in games and these are the statistics. I went down the contract route, if you carry on like this, we don't need you. There ended up being a trigger in a video we showed him, clearly proving that he reacted conservatively on 2 occasions in the same match instead of doing what he should have done, which was to move forward. His decision affected him and the team. Ah, yes, it's true. I made a mistake, was his response when he saw it. He wasn't going to feature against Millwall the following weekend, but I decided to play him and he was brilliant. Son was brilliant as Tottenham thrashed Millwall 6-0 in an FA Cup quarter-final in March 2017. The South Korean international netted a hat-trick in that game and has not looked back since. Who the mystery player was has never been confirmed, though Son would fit. And if this was the talking to which sparked the form of the last 10 months, it would be another example of Pochettino's man management skills. Last weekend against Everton, Son was superb, eviscerating the opposition with clever runs, slick passes and, inevitably, a goal. Asked whether he had ever had to sit down Son and help him to lift his game, Pochettino deflected the praise back onto his player, we work. We talk but at the end it's the talent and belief of the player to show what he has inside. Of course, we talked a lot but he deserved the credit. He's more mature. He's more reliable and the belief and confidence showing in every game is fantastic. He might have been at Spurs earlier. They watched him when he played for Hamburg as a 20-year-old but didn't think he was ready. Neither did today's opponents, Southampton, when Pochettino was manager. By the time he was at Bayer Leverkusen aged 22, Spurs were ready to move. There is still one issue looming. He pulled out of the 2012 Olympics and 2014 Asian Games, which would have earned him immunity from 21 months of national service, which is obligatory in South Korea before the age of 28. He is 25 and time is running out. It is hoped a good World Cup might be seen as his contribution to the cause. Though given that until recently the country was virtually on a war footing, politicians cannot cut fast and loose with the rules. For now, it is just a blot on the horizon, even if looming into view. The future at Spurs, however, looks bright.